Dear viewers, what should one do if gas or wind is accidentally released during prayer? Should the person immediately break their prayer and step away from the congregation, or should they continue praying? Another important question is, what if wind is unintentionally passed while performing wudu? Does that invalidate the wudu, or can it still be continued? And towards the end of the video, we'll also address a very crucial question. If the toilet and bathroom are in the same space, what happens if you perform wudu there? Is it even valid to do so? This is a vital issue because nowadays, most homes and apartments have attached bathrooms, and many people perform wudu there without knowing the proper rulings. As a result, we often make mistakes that should be avoided. So, watch the video till the end to get authentic information. Don't forget to subscribe and become a part of our family. Let's begin. Prayer. It is a means by which a servant connects with their Lord. The very Lord who created mankind nurtures them and provides for their sustenance. Allah, the Lord of the worlds, has commanded in the Quran, establish the prayer. To establish prayer means to perform it consistently, without interruption. When the muezzin calls you 5 times a day, it is as though you are being summoned to stand before Allah's court. You must always remember, you are going to the house of Allah. Allah has no need for your standing, bowing, or prostrating. He looks at the sincerity and piety within your heart. If your heart realizes that you are standing before the Lord of both worlds, then certain etiquettes must be observed. It is crucial to know these etiquettes, because if you neglect them, your worship may not bring mercy, it could instead become a source of sin. Therefore, learning and following these etiquettes is essential for every Muslim. Let me remind you, the place chosen for prayer must be pure and clean. The spot where you stand should be well lit, and you must face the Qibla. Your body should be free from any filth, dirt, or unpleasant odor. Your clothes and body must both be clean. Performing ablution wudu before each prayer is obligatory. There are certain obligatory parts of ablution. If any are missed, the ablution is invalid. If someone begins prayer without proper ablution, their prayer will not be accepted. So if someone starts praying after performing wudu, they must also ensure it remains valid. Because if the wudu breaks, the prayer too becomes invalid. One very important question is, if someone passes wind during prayer, should they immediately leave the prayer or continue? To answer this question, we will share a real incident with you, which will help highlight how important this matter truly is. Once, 3 men were offering the Isha prayer together in a small room. One of them was leading the prayer, while the other 2 were followers. During the prayer, one of them passed wind, and the odor spread across the entire room, making it obvious that someone's ablution had broken. However, due to embarrassment, none of them broke their prayer. Instead, they completed it entirely. Ideally, the Imam should have immediately said, "Let us all redo our ablution." This way, everyone's dignity would be preserved, and the command of the religion would also be fulfilled. But instead, an awkward situation was created, which is not acceptable in the eyes of Sharia. Now the question is, what should you do if this happens to you? If you pass wind during prayer and you're standing in congregation, perhaps even in the first row, according to Islamic guidance, you should quietly step back from the row, perform ablution again, and then rejoin the prayer. Scholars of Islam say that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ stated, if someone passes wind during prayer, they should quietly leave, perform ablution again without speaking, and return to complete their prayer from where they left off. There is no exception in this matter. If you feel your ablution is broken, do not hesitate or feel ashamed. Immediately step away, perform wudu, and then rejoin the prayer. This can often feel embarrassing for many people, so they hesitate to leave the prayer. In such situations, scholars have given a wise suggestion: simply hold your nose and leave the congregation. People will assume your nose is bleeding, and according to Sharia, bleeding breaks wudu. This way, you can quietly redo your ablution and rejoin the prayer without anyone knowing the real reason. In this manner, a Muslim can save themselves from an awkward situation. Islam teaches us that concealing others' faults is obligatory and should be done in a way that does not cause humiliation. What should one do if they pass wind during ablution? If one passes wind while performing ablution, the wudu becomes invalid. Proof of this can be a noticeable sound or smell. However, if it's only a doubt without certainty, the ablution is not considered broken. After passing wind, one must repeat the ablution to regain ritual purity. What should be done? If a limb is missed or a mistake occurs during ablution, if someone forgets to wash a limb during wudu and remembers shortly afterward, they should wash that limb and then re-wash all subsequent limbs in order. For example, someone washes their face, then their right hand performs massah of the head and ears, washes both feet, and then realizes they forgot to wash the left hand. In this case, they must wash the left hand, then repeat the massah of the head and ears, and wash the feet again to complete the wudu properly. Re-washing the subsequent parts is necessary, as maintaining the correct order is obligatory in wudu. Allah has clearly commanded in the Quran the specific order in which each part must be washed during ablution. He says, "Wash your faces and your hands up to the elbows, and wipe your heads and wash your feet up to the ankles." Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 6. This verse makes the required sequence clear. If one does not follow this order, the ablution will not be valid. A very important question: if the toilet and bathroom are combined, will performing wudu there be valid? Nowadays, it is common for the toilet and shower area to be combined. In such cases, there are certain rulings regarding whether performing ablution wudu there is valid and whether the supplications of wudu can be recited. Even if the toilet and shower are combined, performing ablution there is permissible. However, certain precautions must be taken. First, one must be cautious of impurity. When both facilities are in the same space, traces of impurity might be present. Therefore, during ablution, one must ensure that they are away from any impurity and are performing wudu in a clean area. Second, there should be some form of separation. If possible, a partition or barrier should be placed between the toilet and the shower area. This helps preserve the sanctity of Allah's name, allowing the individual to recite the supplications of ablutions without issue. In conclusion, if your bathroom contains both the toilet and shower without a partition in between, performing ablution there is still valid. However, during wudu, it is better to recite the supplications silently in the heart rather than aloud. This is a precaution taken out of respect for the sanctity of Allah's name.